Theater's exciting when it takes us to places we haven't been before. And that's another one of the things that I love about this play and that I think our audiences are going to enjoy very much.
You think your memory's better?
I do remember what I said.
All right. Let's hear it. Let's hear your version. When she ordered you to go back to work, what responses did you make to your superior officer?
I was working on an idea about the American occupation of Germany and was researching a story in New York Herald Tribune from March 1945. And there was a little 2-paragraph story at the bottom of page 14 which said, 4 colored girls to be tried for mutiny. And I said, hello, I want to know the end of that. You know, this is 1945. And so I just, there were very scant details of this in the white press at the time. But then I went to the Schomburg Center, which is the center that the New York Public Library runs with black newspapers and history and so forth. And they had this as a front page story for much of the time, and it was just a compelling story about these young women who challenged a racist colonel.
These particular women take a stand against in terms of what they want to be treated like, how they want to be valued, and so they respond to that and they take a court-martial, and ultimately there's a big decision made relative to if they're going to be a part of the military or not part of the military. So it's about people really taking a stand, really seeing a value in themselves, and it's based on true accounts in history, you know, richly developed and researched by Jeffrey Sweet.
I'm sure that John will say this too.
Yeah.
When you're in the Army, like he was and I was, you know, you're in the Army, you're intimidated, man.
Yes.
You're in their court. And when you go to court-martial against not following an order, during wartime,
yes,
there was a death threat held over you. It gets very intense with the situation with these girls that have decided to take that stand.
Right.
They were putting up a lot to do
Taking
that.
Quite a risk.
Yep.
We all play such a great part in showing the story individually of the WACs and where people are coming from, people that are against the strike. You know, some of the WACs didn't want to mutinize. They thought that Jenny was crazy because death, you know, just because you don't want to mop and clean floors is kind of crazy to some people back in the 1940s, especially in the times of war. So I feel that all the characters in the show dynamically just are fit in such an area where it blends very well, where it just kind of just seamlessly, there's a lot of scenes in the show, and it just flows, and you really understand what's going on.
It moves very quickly from a scene to another scene without a sort of an official scene transition break. There are many short scenes, and as it's written, the flow of the play just jumps back and forth through time and from place to place. So being able to have actors just stand up and put us into a new location with a few lines is going to be very effective in this production for changing the feel and the setting. We did try to arrange the audience to serve as an analog to a jury or to the audience even in a courtroom. And with that in mind, I've eliminated audience seating on the floor around the three-quarter thrust and put a railing there on the front of the audience risers to sort of echo courtroom architecture and set up that kind of dynamic.
There may be nothing that does so much good to a theater person's heart as walking through a brand new spanking space. And it does seem in the final analysis to be equipped with all of the appurtenances that we are hoping for. Everything about the space is first class. It's just flat out exciting to walk through it and see how well we did as a university. And secondly, to anticipate what it means for the future. And on a very subjective level, speaking for myself and the cast of Fort Devens, the honor and privilege and excitement of being the first production to be staged there.
She's gonna have to testify like an officer. She's gonna have to say how we disobeyed her, Lawson, and the others.
So I graduated in 2003, and I remained in Philadelphia. And it's been a very interesting experience. I think for everybody, it's obviously very different. I think for me, I found that the adjustment to the real world was a lot more than I expected it to be. But you know, I really just got on myself about working hard and pounding the pavement and doing what I had to do.
There is a real good exchange that happens between the students and us. And what you find out ultimately is that you're still a student as well. I mean, you're still learning,
always.
you're still picking things up. You pick things up from them, they pick things up from you. So it's a good relationship.
The play takes place in the Army, you know.
Right.
In the Army, there's an old saying, OJT, on-the-job training.
That's right.
And for the younger folks in a piece like this, when they do work with somebody that's been around the block 80, 90 times, I think it's most beneficial for them.
I got the training from these men, and now I can consider myself on par and on level with them, and I think that's exciting, and I think that it's a rewarding feeling.
It's great to know that the university is all about still collaborating and bringing alumni back and having the professors and having everyone work together. And it's great that she can be a part of the show.
I think this is the best way to go. A legitimate summer production based on a professional contract that gives our students the opportunity to work towards equity membership candidacy. And I do think, both in terms of the space and in terms of the Fringe effort, this is the way to go. And I'm very glad that we've taken that step thus far, and very happy and proud for the privilege of helping to take it a step further with this show.